Hey, welcome to August the 12th. 12th day. Hey, we're almost halfway through the month of August, which some of us are calling Austere August. There's a little one extra dot right there, and that's where I'm starting my next decade. This is shave number 182. The other dots are on the back there. Timeless 68 open comb, knurled handle, Zenith B2 26 millimeter bore brush. I've had it soaking for just a minute or two. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in my cup, let it keep going. Is there a moth in here? And I'm working on the Chiseled Face Midnight Stag Challenge by Steven at Dogwood Handcrafts. Makes excellent brush handles, and then he can buy knots from Maggard razors and then provide them there, or he has a great relationship with the Declaration Grooming, which is why it kind of came to my brain to put a Declaration Grooming knot in it, because he'll send the handle from him to Declaration for them to knot it up for you. So this is the soap, and it was in pretty new condition when I first started several shaves ago, and so I haven't really done this much damage to an American crope. Last year when I killed a Williams puck starting in August and then continuing in September and October, it was a hard puck, of course, and it was different. So this is an American crope, it's soft. You can put a dent in it with your finger pad, where Williams is different. It's hard. So it's interesting this will be my first serious consecutive damage to something really soft like this. And so I want to throw some water on my face. Something I'm going to throw on my face at the end of the shave is the same scented Chiseled Face Midnight Stag aftershave. I believe I've shown you everything. All right. So today, just going to do a face lather, kind of my own method. I've had the brush soaking here. I'm going to pull it up out. Now with Marco, I left all that water in there. I'm just going to do a couple of shakes and then just kind of load up, and let's just see what happens. A little bit less water than Marco. There's a 30, the 0 mark there. Let's try a 30-second load and see what happens. I am not really a face lathering expert, and so I figured while I am in, let's do 25 seconds instead of the full 30, and there's 25. All right, so it's very wet. Lots has been kind of overflowing from the tub there because the brush came in that wet. Now I'm going to rinse out the threading on the side of the tub so that screws back in properly. I'm also going to let any standing water drain out. That way it can kind of dry a little bit while I shave before I cap it back up. All right. And so let's just see. Now I don't know if I'm going to have water to this. With Marco, you leave more water in the brush, but apparently you're supposed to only work the tips very soft when you're doing the loading process. And my normal loading process causes a little bit of splay. It's not hard by any means, but it's definitely not as soft as Marco recommends. So it did start out thin and watery and soupy, but the lather on the tips there is combining with the other parts. Let's just see if this will be good enough for a pass. Okay, So the open comb timeless 68. And let's show you the blade. Gillette Nacet. All right. Been pretty comfy for me lately. Starting out well this time too. Hopefully this lather will bond nicely to my skin and give me good protection. I'm holding it different than usual, but it's still a very loose grip. Just loose enough to keep good, safe control over it, but loose enough to where I'm not gonna dig into any unplanned for bumps or ridges. A little bit more tuggy down here. I believe my other lather gives me a little better protection than this one. A little half rinse. All right. Be prepared to add maybe a little bit of water to the brush. Yeah, it's looking kind of thin and like it might get pasty. So out comes my good old syringe, which makes it really easy to, number one, tell how much water I'm adding. But number two, I can add a teaspoon and a half or 3 droplets just as easily. Now this is kind of the chore of face lathering that I don't like, this adding the water, because right now it's too thick. It's not bonding to my skin as well. But I just don't really want to take the time to make it work right. Because if you're adding water and you don't put it in the right way, then it just drips out the bottom of your brush or splashes out or flicks out. That's just a chore. But you know, maybe that's a skill I can get better at. Maybe 24 hours worth of growth, so it's about right. It does feel tender right in here. I wonder why. I didn't have any harshness last shave. Maybe this area just got some of that dry lather and so it wasn't as protected. A little splash of water here. Not doing full rinses. I think I've come to learn that they're fine. So, looks like that 25 seconds of loading got me plenty of, oh, you know what? Let's try the dip the tips of the brush in water method of adding water. Okay, so I'll do that. Theoretically, I haven't liked it because I'm like, look, I'm losing soap into that water I just dipped it in, but yeah, probably fine, right? Yeah, I probably like that. Yeah, I think I like that better than the other method. The syringe method for face lathering. I like the syringe for bowl lathering because you can add I like to add half a teaspoon at a time usually when I'm bowl lathering. Yeah, this is a better lather. Yeah, there's some tenderness down there. Wow. Maybe I need to make sure that I have that. Yeah, next time I'm going to try having that bowl of water on hand to add the water that way. Because then if you add water in a way that causes you to do a lot of brushing on your face, then depending on your brush, that could kind of add some tenderness. If you've got a brush that's can incite a little bit of rash. It's a little too scratchy, or even if it's soft, but just the repetition on your tender shaven skin, you know, for some people at least, can be a problem. All right, we'll do a full rinse this time. All right, let's do a really gentle pass now. Touch up in this area here. Leave it at that. Maybe it's this slant motion I was doing last time. Maybe it was just a little too aggressive for my skin. Yeah, it feels like it might be. Maybe I didn't recover quite as quickly as I usually do with that. I'm not using a balm like I usually do, since I'm using the alcohol-based aftershave. Yeah, that slant is a really effective stroke for this area, but I have to be careful with it. I may want to try to find a happy medium with that angle. If it's too maybe 45 degrees might be about right, but I kind of been going a little bit more than that, so that's quite a slicing angle, so that might be the thing. So 25 seconds of loading, and I've still probably got enough on here to do another pass. I discovered that I could, with this soap, since I'm using it every day, I think there's a little bit of residual water hanging around with it, and so that's helping it to load easy. And a lot of other soaps are that way too. Williams Mug Soap is a lot nicer if you use it every day, for instance. And so I discovered that 10-second load was just fine for this type of application. For me, my bowl lathering technique, 10 seconds of loading is all I needed. So maybe I'll start to step down with this face lathering thing, especially now I know that I like to add water with the kind of the brush tip dipping method instead of the syringe method, because if I'm only adding a little water, syringe is fine, but a lot of times I can remember adding a whole teaspoon of water, like 7 drops at a time, and it took forever. That's a chore. I'm not interested in doing that at all. How much water did I end up adding? Now, I did a dip, so this is not accurate. I added almost a half a teaspoon before I started dipping it in the bowl. So the syringe is out while I do this face lathering experiment and exercise. So see, I've learned something already. Throw away the syringe for face lathering, unless you want to start with a really wet brush, I think is what I've learned. All right, now let's irritate the crap out of my neck here by throwing on some aftershave. Put a little water on there first. Help out. And this does have some good skin goodies, like I've mentioned every time I've used it. Witch hazel, aloe, calendula, vitamin B5 Pro are all in it. Yeah, a little bit of stinging down there, but really not as much as I thought there might be. So it must just be some tenderness that's right there instead of some, abrasions or cuts. And it's not the kind of cut that you would see, but the kind of cut that's there nonetheless, because you are shearing off a layer of the epidermis, your skin top layer. All right. Water used is tepid as usual for me, and hard water at this location. Got that menthol coming into my eyeballs. Here's our B2 after stropping. See if he changes through the course of the month. Yeah, 3 days. We will be halfway through the month. It's really flying by. There is going to be a period of time where you won't see a daily video from me because I'll be kind of out of pocket on a trip. So I'm just going to take photos and hopefully be able to upload photos, to the wet shavings subreddit, along with my kind of report. I'll be taking videos most likely, but I won't be able to publish them probably until I get back from my trip. Loosened up my razor to allow venting. Shook it out. Gave it a good rinse. Shook it out. Placing it carefully high up, safely away from kids. Probably had 1 to 2 passes of lather left after that shave, because that was kind of a concentrate that was on my brush, so it needed to have a little bit of water added to it. But that's about all I can give you. Now, so far I like the quality of the lather I get when I mix it up in the bowl. It's more consistent. It's as slick as I want it to be. Don't have to fiddle with it as much because it's built up more slowly, and then when I hit it right, then I know I'm good from that point on. Instead of having to kind of reformulate each time, I put the new pass on with face lathering. But I got a feeling the new idea about dipping the tips in the water instead of using the syringe is going to help me to hone in on a good process that I'm happy with. This is faster by 4 minutes, something like that. It's kind of neat. It's a good aspect of it. It's nice to have a fast method that you still enjoy. This type of face lathering is also a little bit on the less studious side of the spectrum, where you're not seeing the lather evolve and build up quite the same as you do when you mix it up in a bowl. I feel like an old man because this menthol is kind of coming up into my eyes, and I have to squint like like I'm about to fall asleep or something, which is kind of true, but it's kind of doing something to my eyes. I'm sorry. But when I'm mixing up in a bowl, I can watch it evolve, and I can see it evolve in almost like a slow motion kind of way, and then be able to stop it whenever I want it. Whereas I'm much less involved with it with this type of face lather, just trying to get something on your face that's workable, and then mow it down with the razor and then do it again. So it's a slight difference. So we're all good. Maybe a little bit of redness down there. I didn't get quite as close of a cut right there as I wanted because of that tenderness. It made me stop a little quicker, a little sooner than I might have. But to be honest, after the application of the AS, it didn't really feel too much. I'm all good, comfortable. Nice close shave on the cheeks, really good. Skin feels nice. It doesn't, I think that witch hazel and stuff helps to offset the drying effect of the alcohol and the effects of that. So good shave. Nacet's just kind of churning away, right? And they're doing a great job. And I'll say again, I've said it before many times, but the Nacet just happens to be the first blade I ever tried to take on a marathon journey. Last August, just before Austere August, I decided to use a Nacet because I didn't really see it mentioned on the forums very much, on the wet shaving subreddit, SOTDs, Shave of the Days. And so I thought, hey, let's try this guy, because I'd shaved with him a couple times, got really nice results on a few different razors. So let's try this guy with a Blackland Dart last year, and it worked great. And so I just kept going with that razor. My next most popular one is a Feather, and maybe 42 uses or something, and then maybe a Gillette Silver Blue at about 34 uses. So I've got good experience with this Nacet, going a long way. But there are plenty of other blades that will do it also, for other people as well. So we'll just keep going and see what happens. I feel confident that it's going to make it to the 200 mark at the end of the month. I would say I was just 1% unsure and 99% pretty sure the way I've seen this guy go. So there we go. I am just beat. It's been a rough day. So I'm going to go to sleep. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I hope there's been something here to help you out. You take care. Good night.